Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 10 Part 50 based on novel. So let's start. A voice, which was accompanied by a faint laughter, was slowly transmitted into Jiao Kuay's ears. From within that laughter, Jiao Kuay detected a rich murderous intent, which caused his heart to shudder. Who are you? Fear finally climbed on Jiao Kuay's face a little at a time. Previously, the few people who attacked him had completely surpassed him in terms of strength. Moreover, the most terrifying aspect was that he could detect an extremely frightening ripple from their bodies, and it had the scent of reincarnation. These people, who had appeared out of nowhere, were actually all experts who had touched reincarnation. In fact, even the current Yuan Gate would have difficulty producing such a lineup. You guys came all the way here to capture my family. Yet, you ask who I am? Lindong smilingly said. Your family? Jiao Kuay was startled. Great shock and disbelief suddenly surged in his eyes a moment later. He struggled as he said in a hoarse voice, You are Lindong? You are indeed still alive? Impossible. How did you become so powerful? However, soon after, Jiao Kuay cried out with a flushed face. After all, back when Lindong was still at the Eastern Xian region, Jiao Kuay was already an elder of Yuan Gate. At that time, Lindong was merely a younger generation member. However, right now, the person standing in front of him was undoubtedly even more terrifying than those who had attacked him previously. How was it possible for Lindong to become this powerful within 3 short years? Lindong glanced indifferently at him and said, Like I said, the day when I return to the Eastern Xian region shall be the day that your Yuan Gate is destroyed. Those 3 old dogs in Yuan Gate are still alive, am I right? Humph, our 3 great sect masters are also completely different from before. So what if you have returned? Since our Yuan Gate once forced you to flee, we can do so again. Jiao Kuay seemed to have regained a lot more confidence when he mentioned the 3 great sect masters, as he immediately chuckled. Is that so? Lindong smiled faintly. However, there was an endless chill seeping out from his smile. It isn't going to be so easy to restrain me. When Jiao Kuay saw Lindong's smile, he felt uneasy immediately. Promptly, he cried out loud before the vast and mighty Yuan power within his body swept out without restraint. Following which, the space around him also became distorted because of his Yuan power assault. Bang! Jiao Kuay's arm suddenly exploded at this moment before blood fog spluttered out. Meanwhile, the Yuan power assault also became increasingly wild and violent, and Jiao Kuay was actually able to escape from Lindong's grip. After which, his body moved before both of his legs also exploded into a bloody fog. Finally, his body transformed into a blood ray of light, before he fled with extreme speed. Ha ha, Lindong, just you wait. There is no way our Yuan Gate will let any of you off. By blowing his limbs apart, Jiao Kuay managed to escape. After which, his sharp roar, which was filled with rich murderous intent, resounded across the sky. Standing behind him, little Martin snorted when he saw that Jiao Kuay was trying to flee. He was just about to intervene when he was stopped by Lindong. Currently, Lindong was staring at the direction where Jiao Kuay was fleeing with an indifferent expression. Meanwhile, a black glow surged within his dark black eyes. The area around that blood ray of light, which was trying to flee, suddenly froze. After which, 4 black hole swirls appeared out of nowhere. Those 4 black hole swirls surrounded and trapped that blood ray of light, just like a prison cell. With an indifferent expression on his face, Lindong extended his arm before he gently clenched his hand. Bang! Immediately, those 4 black hole swirls shrunk. Following which, pressure from those terrifying black holes quickly crushed that blood ray of light. Soon after, Jiao Kuay's incomparably sharp and miserable cry resounded across the place. A ray of light shot out just after Jiao Kuay's body was crushed. It was Jiao Kuay's Yuan spirit. At this moment, his face was filled with fear. Meanwhile, his body moved as he attempted to flee. However, a huge black hole appeared above him just as his Yuan spirit was about to flee. After which, terrifying devouring power spread before they directly pulled him towards it. Ah, please don't. Let me go. I can tell you many secrets about Yuan Gate. That suction force completely terrified Jiao Kuay. After all, he knew that if his Yuan spirit was destroyed, he would perish from this world. The current Yu isn't even qualified to beg for mercy. Lindong spoke in an indifferent tone before he waved his sleeve. Following which, that black hole began to rotate rapidly before Jiao Kuay's Yuan spirit was directly sucked in. Then, a sharp miserable cry immediately buzzed and reverberated across this part of the world. The black hole in the sky slowly disappeared. However, the entire place remained completely silent. In fact, even though there were countless individuals outside the city walls, not a single soul dared to speak. In the distant sky, those experts from Yuan Gate were staring at this scene with ashen faces. Meanwhile, their bodies trembled violently. An elder, who had reached the samsara stage, was actually killed in this fashion. He was an ultimate samsara stage expert. In the past, such a person was a powerful being who could become the leader of a super sect. However, he was actually destroyed by Lindong in less than 10 minutes. Lindong. It's Lindong from Dao Sect. He is back for revenge. Some powerful Yuan Gate experts recalled Jiao Kuay's miserable last words. Immediately, they turned to look at that skinny young figure standing on the city walls, before dense fear surged into their eyes. Above the city walls, it was completely silent. After Lindong took care of Jiao Kuay, he slowly took a step forward before he glanced indifferently at those powerful experts from Yuan Gate. Quick, let's flee! When they saw Lindong turning his attention towards them, as well as his eyes which looked like that of a war god, those powerful experts from Yuan Gate felt their scalps turn numb. Soon after, a miserable cry sounded before all of them turned and fled. In fact, they had lost the courage to fight. Like I said, no one from Yuan Gate will be spared. Lindong looked at those powerful experts from Yuan Gate, who were trying to escape, before a brutal aura suddenly surged within his dark black eyes. Then, lightning flashed within his eyes. Following which, everyone saw thunder clouds swiftly converging in the distant sky, before the sky turned dark at a frightening speed. Rumble. Countless thunderbolts, which resembled lightning dragons, came raining down from all directions. Those powerful experts from Yuan Gate, who were trying to escape, were all swept by those lightning dragons. Following which, miserable cries resounded across the place before many charred figures fell continuously from the sky. It was like the display of God's might. When many onlookers saw this doomsday-esque scene, all of them were scared out of their wits. Could such strength actually be possessed by a human? Standing on the city walls, Mo Jingtian and the rest stared at the skinny figure, who had now lowered his hands, before they inhaled a deep breath of air. How on earth did he train? Previously, he was able to kill Jiao Kuay, a samsara stage expert, with the flip of his palm. Now, he could easily summon lightning as well. His abilities were truly divine and unfathomable. Martial Senior Lindong is truly incredible. The young lady called and ran stared at the back of that figure with an excited expression in her big eyes. Meanwhile, her pretty small face had become flushed due to excitement. Although Dao Sect was able to block Yuan Gate's attacks over the past year thanks to little senior sister Ying Huan Huan, they were unable to do so in such an overbearing fashion like Lindong. This martial senior Lindong, who left a huge mark on Dao Sect back then, and whose fame even surpassed that of senior Ju Tong, was actually this incredible. You did not see the fight back at the unique Devil City. At that time, Lindong was merely at the Nirvana stage, yet he actually dared to challenge the three great heads of Yuan Gate. Mo Ling laughed softly. Anran nodded solemnly. After which, her small hands were rubbing her boiling hot pretty face as she said, "This is bad, this is very bad. It seems like I have fallen for Martial Senior Lindong. Oh no, Martial Senior Mo Ling, what should I do? Does that mean I have to compete with little senior sister Huan Huan? Ah? This is far too much pressure." Mo Ling involuntarily smiled upon hearing this. Why was this lass so adorable? Rumble. The thunderbolts rained down from all directions and left the invading armies in utter confusion and chaos. Fortunately, Lindong did not focus his killing intent on them. Otherwise, this place would have definitely been reduced into a river of blood. Thunderbolts came raining down for a couple of minutes. Finally, they began to die down. Nonetheless, those powerful experts from Yuan Gate were all completely burnt and none of them managed to escape. The generals leading the armies from various empires shuddered when they saw this scene. In fact, some of the weaker ones even cried out involuntarily. Lindong looked at the armies from the various allied empires. With an indifferent expression, he gently waved his hand. Roar! An earth-shaking tiger roar sounded from afar after Lindong waved his hand. After which, everyone was stunned when they saw a black cloud sweeping over from afar. Meanwhile, a terrifying dark and brutal aura spread, causing the surrounding temperature to fall. A blade came slashing out from within the black cloud as it approached. Immediately, monstrous aura swept out from it. Then, a 10,000 feet large black blade shot forth and split the ground, leaving 100,000 feet large deep gully. Boom! That black torrent streaked across the sky before they landed in front of the city walls. The land trembled violently at that instant. After they landed, all of them knelt down with one knee on the ground and faced the city wall. Their every action, including their breathing, was in complete unison. Meanwhile, their dense dark auras gathered in the sky and seemingly formed 100,000 feet large tiger. After 1 hour, kill any enemy soldier remaining in the Great Yang Empire. Lindong's cold and indifferent voice spread. Understood. A low and deep cry resounded across the entire place. Meanwhile, hovering in the sky, that 100,000 feet large fearsome tiger, which was formed by their auras, slowly crouched on the ground. Its monstrous aura was extremely terrifying. What a terrifying army! Mo Jingtian and the rest looked at the tiger-devouring army, which was seemingly a single entity, before their eyes were filled with dense shock. Could it be that this mysterious powerful army was also under Lindong's command? They looked at each other, before they saw that the reverence in each other's eyes had grown. Not only did the present Lindong possess formidable strength, but he also had a monstrous faction under his command, which could shake the entire eastern Xian region. The young man from back then had truly become an overlord. The morale of the Alliance army in the distance was already in shambles. Therefore, even before their commanding generals gave their orders, all of them turned around and fled. A sea of troops were fleeing on the mountain range, and it created a spectacular sight. The people on the city walls, who were originally in despair, were momentarily stunned when they saw that the Alliance army was retreating. Moments later, an earth-shaking cheer finally erupted. Amidst the earth-shaking cheers, countless pairs of eyes were staring reverently at that young man standing on the city walls. Meanwhile, a heated expression also surged into many of their eyes. They knew that a legend was born in Great Yang Empire today. Moreover, the name of that legend was Lindong. Back then, he was just a weak young man when he left home. However, the world trembled under his feet when he returned. The entire capital erupted into a sea of cheers. Not long ago, all of them were in complete despair. After all, once their city was overrun, the Great Yang Empire would be history. Following which, every citizen of the empire would lose their homes and be forced to leave their homeland. Furthermore, they had witnessed this miserable fate far too many times over the last 2 years. However, at their most desperate moment, hope arrived in the form of a young man, who could make the world tremble at his feet. With just a smile, every powerful expert from Yuan Gate was wiped out. Meanwhile, a single sentence from him caused millions of allied soldiers to flee miserably. Only at this moment did they finally believe that there were indeed legends in this world, who could dictate the weather with their words. However, throughout the history of their Great Yang Empire, such a being had never appeared. Until now. The army on the city walls had all went back into the city and only those essential guards were left behind. After all, with that monstrous tiger army standing guard outside of the city, there was no need for them to stay. There was a huge manor in the capital and it was where the Lin clan was located. Due to the war, the Lin clan had shifted all of their resources to this manor. At this moment, this manor was boiling with excitement and countless members of the clan were flooding in. After which, many pairs of excited eyes looked into the spacious living room from outside. Finally, all their attention focused on a skinny young figure within. Is that Big Brother Lindong? Quick, let me have a look. Big Brother Lindong is someone from our Lin clan. All of you did not see what happened previously, but that elder from Yuan Gate was killed by Big Brother Lindong instantly. Meanwhile, those armies from various empires withdrew in panic because of a single sentence from him. Big Brother Lindong is really good looking. Hey, can you don't be so boy crazy? Hee, I am of the same generation as Big Brother Lindong. Back then, I also took part in the clan gathering. However, Big Brother Lindong was not so powerful back then. Seated in a living room, Lindong was holding a teacup in his hand before he gently took a sip. Although those private whispers outside were extremely soft, he still managed to hear all of them. Immediately, a faint smile was lifted on the corner of his lips. This was a rather pleasant sensation. In the living room, the clan head of the Lin clan, Lin Fan, and many elders were seated below. As of now, the top seat was occupied by a helpless-looking Lin Zhentian. Originally, that seat was supposed to be occupied by Lindong. However, that little brat ended up pushing his grandpa onto it instead. Below Lindong sat Little Martin, Little Flame, First Elder Zhu Li, Liu Qing, and the rest. Lindong had introduced all of them previously. After Lin Fan and the elders of the Lin clan learnt that they were all ultimate experts who had advanced to the samsara stage, even the servant serving them tea began to tremble. After all, although the Lin clan was much stronger compared to before, they were hardly worthy of the attention from so many ultimate experts. However, they all secretly sighed in relief when they realized that these ultimate experts, who must be treated with extreme respect even by sect masters of various super sects in the Eastern Xian region, were not arrogant individuals. Instead, all of them returned their greetings with a smile. Though they knew that this was likely because of their relationship with Lindong, Lin Fan, and the elders still felt joy and excitement in their hearts. Ha, Lindong ah. Lin Fan's face was full of smiles. Moreover, even though he was the clan head, there wasn't a tinge of pride on his face. Instead, all he did was grin when he looked at Lindong. The latter found his smile a little comical. After all, back then, the clan head of the Lin clan seemed like a rather prestigious role to his eyes. It's all thanks to you that our Lin clan is able to develop until such an extent. Previously, the Elder Council was having a discussion. I am already so old, the position of clan head. Clan head Lin Fan, I'm afraid that I am not interested. Lindong smiled faintly. This old fellow was quite cunning. Was he planning to use this to tie him up? Lin Fan smiled awkwardly when he heard Lindong's rejection. Given Lindong's current strength, if he was to become the clan head, notwithstanding the Great Yang Empire, it was likely that their Lin clan would become extremely well known across the entire Eastern Xian region. With this in mind, Lin Fan involuntarily turned to look at Lin Zhentian for help. Over all these years, he had managed to build a good relationship with Lin Zhentian. When Lin Zhentian saw this sight, he quickly turned his head away. He was not an old fool. Since Lindong was unwilling to do so, there was no way he would force the latter to comply. After all, Lindong was no longer a child like he was before. Lin Fan could only helplessly shake his head when he saw Lin Zhentian acting in this manner. Lindong saw through their actions. Finally, he laughed softly before he placed the teacup in his hands down. Then, with a faint smile he said, "Give it to my father." The Lin family was ultimately an offshoot of the Lin clan. Moreover, Lin Zhentian had a strong clan mentality and he put in a great deal of effort back then, in order for his family to return to the main clan. Therefore, it was impossible for Lindong to completely differentiate between the two. In that case, it was best to allow his family to reap more benefits. Lin Fan was startled. He quickly rejoiced and nodded continuously. Lin Xiao was Lindong's father. Therefore, it didn't matter whether the son or the father became the clan head. After all, if any problems occur, there was no way Lindong would abandon his father. You little brat. Beside him, Lin Xiao was about to reprimand Lindong after hearing those words. However, Lin Fan quickly laughed and said, "Lin Xiao, please do not reject this. All of us have witnessed your abilities. You will be the clan head of the Lin clan in the future. It's already decided." He hurriedly left without waiting for Lin Xiao's reply. His actions caused Lin Xiao to be stunned. Since when did anyone willing forsake the position of clan head in such a simple and straightforward fashion? Since Donga has said so, you should accept it first. Beside him, Liu Yang softly said. Upon hearing her words, Lin Xiao could only stare angrily at Lindong. However, he did not speak up anymore. "Donga, come over. There is something that I want to tell you." Liu Yang suddenly beckoned Lindong over before she smilingly said. Lindong was startled. After he walked over, Liu Yang began to gently straighten his clothes. Then, with a smile of anticipation, she said, "Do you know? In the past 3 years since you left, there would be 2 ladies who will visit us every year." Lindong was startled and he was at a loss. Ladies? Visiting his parents? Lin Xiao coughed and said, "Both ladies are pretty decent." "Little brat, you got good eyesight." Lindong felt even more confused. Then, he helplessly asked, "Who are you guys referring to?" "One of them is called Ling Qingzhu. The other is called Ying Huan Huan," Lin Xiao grinned before he said. This time around, even with Lindong's mental fortitude, he was involuntarily stunned. Things had truly exceeded his expectations. After all, Ling Qingzhu was a prideful person and he had never expected her to take the initiative to visit Lin Xiao and Liu Yang. On the other hand, Ying Huan Huan was just like a little princess whom others treasured and took care of. Therefore, since when did she become so mature? Both ladies are pretty decent. I like them both very much. When are you going to bring them home? Liu Yang asked joyously. These 2 ladies were both extremely talented and it was impossible to find anyone more outstanding than them in the entire Great Yang Empire. Hence, Liu Yang was extremely satisfied with the both of them. Lindong could only laugh dryly. Even though he currently possessed the ability to kill a samsara stage expert with the flip of his palm, when dealing with matters of the heart, he still felt cold sweat appearing all over his forehead. "Oh, that's right. Father, Mother, I will not be able to stay here for long this time around. The Eastern Xian region is far too chaotic and Dao Sect is in deep trouble. Hence, I will have to make a trip back." Lindong hurriedly changed the topic and said, "Are you planning to leave again?" Liu Yang hurriedly asked after she heard those words. Meanwhile, she no longer pestered him about the previous topic. Dao Sect has groomed Donga. Now that Dao Sect is in trouble, he will naturally have to return and help them. Moreover, our Lin clan has received much benefits from Dao Sect over all these years. Therefore, this is something that he must do. Lin Xiao said in a deep voice. Lindong nodded. After which, he looked at the Golden Ape Demon Commander and said, "Golden Ape, you will lead 2,000 soldiers from the Tiger-Devouring Army and protect this place. Send a message to me if anything happens." "Understood." The Golden Ape Demon Commander nodded and replied. "When will you be leaving?" Lin Zhentian opened his mouth and asked. Initially, Lindong wanted to leave immediately. However, after he saw Liu Yang's expression, he smiled and said, "Tomorrow. Tomorrow morning." Lindong left immediately after bidding Liu Yang and the rest goodbye. He led many troops before he rushed towards Dao Sect. As Lindong was not familiar with the way to Dao Sect, he brought along some of the Dao Sect disciples who were at the capital. This caused them to be exceptionally excited. This was especially the case for that young lady called An Ran. In fact, her pretty face remained flushed ever since they left the city together. Along the way, they did not run into much obstacles. Given the speed of Lindong's group, a journey which typically took the Dao Sect disciples over a dozen days was cut to half a day. After which, they gradually entered the territory of Dao Sect. However, Lindong suddenly waved his hand and stopped on a cliff just as they were about to reach the mountain range, where Dao Sect was located. Then, he looked into the distance. For some unknown reason, he felt some perspiration seeping out from his palm. It was as though he was returning home with mixed emotions. At that place, he would meet many people whom he had fond memories of. Marshal Senior Lindong, why did you stop? We are about to reach Dao Sect. Anran asked somewhat uncertainly after she saw Lindong stopping. Beside him, little Martin looked at Lindong, who had a complicated emotion in his eyes. Then, as though he understood what Lindong was experiencing, he waved his hand towards Anran and said, "Little girl, be quiet." Anran widened her big eyes after hearing this. However, when she recalled little Martin's frightening strength, she shrinked her head and muttered to herself, "So what if you are good-looking?" Although her voice was soft, it was still transmitted into little Martin's ear. Immediately, his handsome face twitched slightly. He inhaled a deep breath of air before he forcefully suppressed the urge to toss that little lass. "I want all of you to stay behind first. Let me enter Dao Sect by myself." Lindong sighed softly and said, "I? Send the signal if you run into any problems and we will hurry over." Little Martin nodded. After which, he grabbed that young lady, who was about to speak, and dragged her away forcefully. Lindong moved, transforming into a ray of light before he shot forward. Within a couple of minutes, a familiar mountain range appeared in front of his eyes. Meanwhile, an extremely large sect guarding formation was fully activated and it enveloped the entire mountain range. At the same time, countless Dao Sect disciples were patrolling on the inside. Lindong appeared in front of the sect guarding formation. Then, black light flowed over the tip of his finger before he tore a small hole in the formation. After which, he dashed in like a phantom and did not attract anyone's attention. Lindong's figure shuttled through the vast Dao Sect. There were many pill rivers flowing within the sect and they caused rumbling noises to spread. Even further in the distance were countless disciples from Dao Sect who were currently undergoing the daily compulsory training. These scenes remained as familiar as ever. After all, they were deeply engraved in his heart and could never be removed. Lindong stood on a mountain cliff. As he looked at the vaguely visible training platform hidden within the clouds, he descended into silence for a long period of time. While Lindong was immersed in this sight, a melodious zither music was suddenly transmitted from the distance. The zither music flowed continuously, causing one to involuntarily revel in it. Lindong's body shook slightly upon hearing that zither music. With a complicated emotion in his eyes, he lifted his head. After which, he saw that there was a lovely figure seated on a pine tree that was protruding from a distant cliff. Meanwhile, there was a zither placed in front of her and her blue long hair was scattered down like an icy waterfall. Huan Huan. Lindong looked at that delicate pretty figure, before his hands trembled involuntarily. However, he firmly suppressed his aura and did not allow himself to be exposed. Although he would frequently dream about her beautiful face, for some unknown reason, he felt a little fearful when he was finally able to meet her. After all, he was afraid that things may have changed over time. That melodious music spread. After which, every disciple on the training platform also came to a temporarily halt. Then, countless pairs of eyes looked at that pretty figure seated on the cliff. Meanwhile, their eyes were all filled with respect and admiration. Over the past 3 years, Huan Huan's reputation within Dao Sect had soared after she repeatedly blocked the attacks from Yuan Gate time after time. In fact, her reputation had almost surpassed Xuanzi. The zither music gradually came to an end. Lindong involuntarily sighed softly after he detected the loneliness in her music. At that instant, his perfectly hidden aura gave off a slight fluctuation. Boom! That zither music, which was about to end, suddenly turned sharp and it was as though the zither strings had snapped. Promptly, countless Dao Sect disciples lifted their heads in shock. After which, they saw that the alluring figure seated on a pine tree had suddenly stood up. That alluring figure moved before she directly appeared in the sky. She lifted her eyes to survey her surroundings. Her familiar-looking face no longer seemed as immature as before. In its place was beauty that could mesmerize the world. However, that beauty was accompanied by a trace of iciness. However, there was currently crystal tears rolling down this beautiful face, which was typically covered by an icy frost. Countless Dao Sect disciples stared at her in bewilderment. Clearly, they did not understand why this little senior sister, who typically acted in a cool and indifferent manner, would end up in such a state. Her pretty eyes ignored the countless pairs of stunned eyes as she surveyed the mountain range. Finally, she bit her red lips. Then, her voice contained some fury as it resounded across the sky. Lindong! You dare to return, yet you do not dare to come and see me. Her voice resounded across the entire Dao Sect. Soon after, an uproar erupted across the entire Dao Sect. This video will end here.